1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make me chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babble on 5 podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Events. As you guys should know, your faithful host for the past 2.5 years, your boy. And like I never left. I literally never left you guys. We haven't missed a week. There was that one little mess up, but we don't need to talk about that, you know? That was that one little mess up, but we don't need to talk about that. But how are you guys doing? How's your week been? I hope your week has been phenomenal. I hope your week has been phenomenal, and I hope this next week is going to be even better. As I said, I've been your host this whole time. I've not abandoned you, and we are here with episode 136, ladies and gentlemen. And if I had to give this bad boy a name, it's going to be Cinema. Cinema! Shout out to the homie Classic. We're going to call this bad boy Cinema. Because, we're going to talk about the return, the long-awaited return. At least for me, for years, I've been waiting for this, ladies and gentlemen. I was looking at the return of Atlanta. The last episode before the return was 2017 or 2018, I believe. It was 2018, May 2018, and then Donald Glover went off, and was shooting Star Wars and whatnot. So they were like, we're not going to put out the next season until I think like 2020. Boom, 2020 happened and nothing was going on. Everything got shut down. So, Atlanta's been gone for 4 years, and now it's finally back, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to talk about the 2 new episodes that you could watch on Hulu for season 3. We're going to talk about those episodes. We're also, we wouldn't be the Babylon 5 podcast where we talk about things, personal interests, and combat sports. Talk about MMA here, UFC a lot here, if you will. I don't want people to be like fucking casual. It's just like when I say to people, like, I don't watch football, I barely watch basketball. And they're like, oh, what, you don't watch sports? I'm like, I watch MMA. And they're like, what? If I say I watch combat sports, they're like, what? And if I say I watch UFC, they know automatically what that is. So it's just easier just to say I fucking watch UFC or I talk about UFC. It's just easier to say that. So we wouldn't be the Babylon 5 podcast without talking about Jorge Masvidal sneaking up on my boy Colby Covington 2 weeks after they went 5 rounds in the octagon. And we're going to talk about UFC Columbus. I was talking last week, I think I called it UFC Vegas 51. And I was wrong again. The week before that, I think I was calling it UFC Vegas 51. And it was like, whatever fight night that was, it was like, nope, they're in London, bro. Like, I did not know where these people are going. Did not know. Well, I didn't know, the world. As I said, 2020 happened. So every fight night was happening in Las Vegas. Now they're traveling with these just regular fight cards in different cities. Please come to Milwaukee. Please come to Milwaukee ASAP. I will be there, front and center. Not front and center. I don't want to be down there. That's a bad angle for trying to watch the fights. But I'll be where I know is the best place to be. But But if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babble5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You could email this podcast at Babble5Podcast@gmail.com. You could hit that like button anywhere you're listening to this podcast right now. Go ahead and be a buddy. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow this podcast at twitch.tv/Babylon5. You guys can cop some merchandise. Go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Niji, be my patrons. Be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. You know, I think personally I'm not screaming. I don't think I necessarily scream on this podcast, but I think I'm talking quieter because, well, as I started to record, I had turned down the output when I was working on some beats past few days, working on music. So I turned down the output. So when I was talking before I started recording, I could barely hear myself. So it's like, why don't I just turn this bad boy up? Since it's just me, maybe I won't be in here screaming like a motherfucker. I think it's working. I can hear myself a lot better. Might even turn it up a little more. You know what I'm saying? It sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good to me. But as I said, we are going to talk about the return, the long-awaited return, 4 years since Atlanta, since we last had Atlanta, when we left the show at the end of season 2. And I was talking to my wife, you know what I'm saying, who I believe at the time was not my wife when season 2 ended. Yeah, when did the show end? I believe it ended 2018. And I was like, because I was thinking, like, it's been a while since I've talked about Atlanta on the podcast. And then I asked my wife, like, wait, did I talk about Atlanta? Like, was Atlanta on? Was it new when I had this podcast? And it's like, no. But I used to talk about Atlanta on the old podcast. The podcast I did for like 2 years or so, however long, before I started this podcast. Like, you know, if you guys are long-time listeners, you know that I was on, I did a previous podcast, and then I left that podcast, and I left the podcast world, the content. Well, no, I was still dropping music, but I left the podcast world for about 2 years until I started the Babylon 5 podcast, you know. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy we're here, and I'm happy Atlanta is back. I was like, fuck, I could have sworn I talked about Atlanta on the podcast. It was just not this podcast, and I'm happy that we can talk about it here, but season 3 of Atlanta. My wife was saying, like, in regards to the first episode, she was like, yo, it's so cinematic. This is like a movie. And hence why we're calling it cinema. Also, because she was saying that as we're watching it, then I saw an interview, like a brief interview with Childish Gambino. And he was like, when I think about like the premiere of Atlanta and watching Atlanta in a movie theater, it was like his thought was like Atlanta needs to be cinematic, and it's like, fuck, my wife got that spot on. So she got it spot on. Shout out to her. Shout out to my wife on her spot on assessment of what we were seeing in season 3 of Atlanta, ladies and gentlemen. And it was pretty triggering. The first episode I thought was pretty triggering. The second episode is borderline traumatizing. I felt like today the scene hasn't weighed on me as much. But after I saw that scene, definitely all yesterday, it just kept popping in my head the end of, like, the scene from, it's not the end of season, I mean, not the end of episode 2, but it's a scene from episode 2 that's just, there's no there's no warning that something fucked up here might happen. There's none of that. It's real shocking. It was shocking for me to see. So, episode 1, this is spoiler alert for everybody. We're going to go into it. All right? Episode 1, season 3, Atlanta. It's a story of, they have this little black boy. It's just like a little fictional story. It's fictional world, if you will. And it's crazy, okay? It starts out with the teacher saying, the white teacher, and this is important, saying like, okay, class, we partner with the Atlanta Falcons. And what was the other shit? It was the Atlanta Falcons and something real ignorant. I was like, that whole shit sounds silly. And because they partner with them, they're going on a field trip to see Black Panther 2. All the kids go crazy. And this one black kid jumps up on the table. Laquarius. I think that might be his name. Yeah, I think it might be Laquarius. He jumps up on his table and just starts dancing. He's happy. They're going to go see Black Panther 2, which doesn't exist yet. It's not out. All right. But that's what they're doing in this episode, is that they're about to go see Black Panther 2 because for whatever reason. And the teacher gets upset because he's dancing and, like, takes him to the principal. Principal calls the mom. Mom comes down and the mom is like, did not tell y'all to stop calling me down here. At first, right? When they first introduced the mom, and she's like, I thought I told y'all to stop calling me down here. At first, I wasn't fucking with the mom's energy. By the end of it, I was like, nah, she was a real ass mom there. I thought I told y'all to stop calling me down here. Because they probably, by the end of that, I'm like, they're calling her down there and disciplining her son for the smallest little shit. And it ain't like my black ass, who spent most of the school years in elementary school alone in the quiet room, talking to myself. No, I wasn't allowed. It's the quiet room. I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone. There's nobody else in there. and even if there was anyone else, you're not allowed to talk. It's the quiet room. So, like, I definitely understood. I remember one time, y'all know the comedian Michael Blackson, who has the accent, who says mother sucker all the time. I said mother sucker in school. That turned into a detention. You know what I'm saying? That kind of shit. The smallest shit that gets you in trouble. So while this mom is there, and she's like, did not tell you people to stop calling me. But then the white teacher comes in and is like, yeah, I think your son needs to be in special ed. I think it'll really help him out. And then the mom's like, nah, go fuck yourself, basically. She takes the boy out of there and she's just like, yo, you over here trying to dance and impress for these fucking white boy people. But you gotta understand, like, these people will fucking kill you. Like, and then they'll still be laughing. Shit like that. And I don't know, man. I didn't really see anything wrong with what the mom was saying. I was like, what the mom is saying to this little black boy is like some real shit. She's been there. You know what I'm saying? And the grandpa who was there, the little boy's grandpa, like, just gave him like these 3 little slaps, just like a little quick discipline. And then the teacher's like, all right, I'll take him back to class. And then she says to the little boy, like, I'm gonna get you out of there. And right away I'm like, no, what the fuck? I knew what was about to happen. I knew she was gonna get the police, Child Protective Services, over something she probably perceived as abuse, but I perceived a lot of, I perceived a lot of her, everything, the whole take, as I said, the smallest shit will get you sent to the fucking principal's office, get you disciplined, depending on who you are. And I was triggered by that teacher's actions right away. And then the whole "I'm gonna get you out of there," I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I was like screaming at the fucking television, like, what the fuck? The second she said that. So the police come. Child Protective Services come to do a wellness check on the little boy. And the mom is like, yo, you called the police on me? And he's like, nah, I didn't call the police, which he didn't. But the mom is just like, nah, fuck it, take him. And low key, it's just like, that's just how it is. Like, I remember, like, they were arresting black moms. Maybe white moms too, but that's not what I saw on the news. They were arresting black moms for if their kids were truant. Parents would go to jail for their kids skipping school. So when she's throwing him out and saying like, nah, y'all can take him, just take him. Like, I understood the whole thing. Like, if from her point of view, it's like, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? If he did call, take him. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, like, I remember my mom would always say to me, like, I'm not going to jail for you. So this mom in here is like, take him. She grabs his shit, was like, yo, you're not taking the clothes that I paid for. Gives him a jacket, his shoes, gives him to the social worker and the fucking, and the police. So they take him to this fucking, like, foster home or whatever. This home with these moms or whatever. They adopted 3 other black kids. He was the 4th black kid they adopted. These 2 moms, man, they had these black kids eating fucking fried chicken. Them niggas was microwaving this shit. I don't know what the fuck, man. It's like not cooked chicken. Just crazy not cooked chicken that they microwaved. Microwaving fried chicken, like raw in the microwave and frying chicken. It was just fucking crazy not to be eating ass food. They had these little black kids working in their gardens. Was trying to get the little boy to sing a Negro spiritual. Then they got him selling, holding up signs and all that shit, working at the farmer's market, because that's how they make money, is from making the kombucha in there and like having the selling the produce. That they have these fucking workers. They have these workers that they adopted. And it's just crazy, man. I don't even understand. Like, there's parts of it that I still don't understand. I need to, like, look up some analysis. Because at one point, another social worker comes in for a wellness check on these kids. There's a little girl, one of the black kids that are there. There's, like, one girl, and she's, like, sick, coughing pretty bad. She's, like, sick in all these scenes. And when the black social worker comes in there and sees the little girl, like, are you sick? And it's just like, they're like, what is this? There's just like sheets of crushed blueberries sitting on some napkins. And they're like, oh, it's just like medicine. Like, just crushed blueberries is what they're using for medicine for this little girl's cough. And they're like, yo, do you have a washcloth in here? And they're just like, nah, they don't own a washcloth. And the little boy, she goes up to the little boy and was like, "Are you happy here?" And the little boy, L'Aquarius, is like, "Nah, like, I'm hungry. Like, they don't like feed us. They like work us or whatever, all this shit." He was just being real. He was like, "I want to go home." And the lady was like, "I'm gonna get you out of here." And then one of the moms was like, "Yo, I think there's something about us in our case that you don't know yet that I need to talk to you in private about." And the woman was like, "Okay." And then they walked outside. And then the lady walked back in later and was like, "Everything's fine. Everything's fine." Meanwhile, it's like, because I was like, what's going on? Like, even before that, right when that lady came in, it really exposed to the fact that those people were living in that house pretty much with no record. They were saying, like, they're struggling, like, they have no money, like, to pay for the house. Like, so I'm like, what the hell did she say to this woman or do just now to get this woman to just be like, never mind what I just saw in there? That made no sense to me. It really made no sense to me. So then toward the end of this fucking episode, these fucking women decide that they're going to kill themselves and the fucking kids. They're gonna like drive their car into this, like, over this bridge into this lake. And thankfully the little boy L'Aquarius like gets all the 4 kids out of there. And the women and their dog end up dying. End up killing themselves. And the little boy he ends up going back home. I don't even know because like Ern ends up, the main character, Donald Glover's character in this show, Atlanta. At the end of the episode, he wakes up as if that was like a dream he had. And you know what I'm saying? There is no Black Panther 2 yet. So that's why I'm saying, like, this reality. But he goes home, watches a news story about how the 3 kids were abandoned found abandoned on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this is real shit, but it was a fucking crazy episode. All right. It's fucking thought-provoking, cinematic as fuck. Right away when I was just writing these notes, I'm like, there was that point when people were comparing the show Dave to Atlanta and calling Dave White Atlanta. I think I called it that right away, and Childish Gambino was like, "Nah, it's not. Like, they're completely different." Like, he was like, Atlanta has black people debating like shit, and I was like, I don't know. I thought Dave was entertaining, just like I was entertained by Atlanta. But no, they're completely different shows. Dave cannot compare to Atlanta. This show is one of a kind. Atlanta is the best show probably ever made. All right? This show is amazing. Episode 1 was insane. And I was like, all right, they introduce Ern at the end of the episode. They're going to get back to the main characters of this. And they're in Amsterdam in episode 2. Years have progressed. I was curious because, as I said, it's been like 4 years since the last episode. And it's been like 4 years since the last episode. And I was like, because they were about to go on a European tour at the end. That was the last episode of season 2, was them leaving to go on tour for the first time in Europe. Paperboy was on the come up. And in this episode, at one point, Ern says to the guy, this dude at a venue, guy who runs a venue or whatever, promoter, they were like, "Oh, is this your first time in Amsterdam?" And Ern says, "No, we were here last year for a festival." So, like, time has progressed. They're more successful. Paperboy is like a celebrity. He gets arrested, but is treated like a king in jail. Like that shit was wild. I don't know what that crazy room was that he was in, but it was super comfortable. And like he was ordering all this food and off a menu, and they came in. They were like, "Your bail has been paid. You can leave." And he was like, "How about I stay until after my lunch, and how about you wake me up from my nap when it gets here?" He's saying this to the officer, and the officer's like, "Okay." And like the officer, but he's like a celebrity. He's done it. He's famous, and they love him in Amsterdam. So time has progressed, but they definitely. I feel like they got being black, like going through TSA while black. They got that to a T. They had earned. He just didn't have a belt and underwear, and they're like, I can't let you through unless you raise your hands, and like let go of your pants. And he's like, "Yo, my pants will drop if I let go of my pants." And they're like, "I can't let you through." So then he has to drop, and he's just all out. And they're like, "All right, turn around." Like, it's like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. You got this man fucking assed out in the middle of the airport. But that's just what it's like being black going through TSA. I get shocked when I'm not molested going through TSA. Shocked! Ladies and gentlemen. I expect it every time. And it's like, what are you, shy? Are you shy, sir? I know what you came here for. I'm shocked when I'm not molested at the airport. But they do that shit. And so what's real crazy about episode 2? The really crazy part about episode 2 in season 3 of Atlanta, they put Darius and Van together, and I like how those two characters interact. If you guys don't know, Van is Ern's baby's mama, ex, and Darius is just the friend, Ern's friend through Paperboy's. He's like Paperboy's best friend, and yeah, and they're just kicking it. But like, you know, Darius is like super conspiracy theorist, just like quirky dude, like real quirky dude. And I like, and she's just like teacher, like super like stern at times, you know what I'm saying? So like I like the way they fucking interact. I like the way they play off of each other, those two characters. So I put those two together, and it was like, oh, let's go to the thrift store and get her a jacket, like in Amsterdam. So they do that, and when they go get the jacket, it has an address in the pocket. And Darius, being Darius, is like, oh, this is fate. We have to follow that address. We have to go there. And being that they're more successful, they're on this tour in Europe right then, they have a driver like all day. They just have a driver, like just as perks of the tour. So the driver it's in this big van and takes them to this address. And when they get to this address, some people in white come out, like a lady in white, and she's just like, "Oh, I thought they said the van was broke down and they couldn't get here. Is this the new van?" And like, they're just like, "Yeah, this is it. We're here to take you." And yeah, they pretend to be these people's transportation, and they take them to this apartment or some shit, this condo, and there's like some person laying in a bed, everybody's wearing white, and it's like the one person explains to them that what's going on is like this person that's laying in bed here is dying. He's about to die, and their job is to like help all their loved ones like let go of this person, man. I'm so sorry. It's just a crazy scene. It's kind of hard for me to really... Like, as I'm talking about it, I'm honestly getting choked up. Because it's crazy. Her job is to help them let him go. And they're fucking... man, it's crazy. They're like, does anybody want to say something to him to, like... help him, like, he's ready, he's about to pass away. Like, does anybody want to say something? Just, like, tell him it's okay. And, like, to help with the transition. And, like, Van goes up to this person who's laying in his bed and it's just, like, holds his hand and it's just, like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And I didn't know what the fuck was happening until it happened, man. Like, trigger warning, spoiler alert, but... this lady fucking presses a button and, like, this sheet comes down and then, like, some shit comes down, like a rubber sheet comes down and, like, over this man's face and this is, like, strangling this man. They've stumbled into an assisted suicide. And they just show this, I just show this assisted suicide. I show this man fighting for his life there. And I didn't know that I was going to see that. But I saw it. It was crazy. But it's, man, honestly, after I saw it, I was like, fuck, I tried to tell people about this show. And now I'm like, fuck, I don't want them to walk into that shit. Because I don't really know if I was prepared. I don't know if I was prepared to see that shit. I wish somebody had told me I was probably going to see some shit like that. Potentially going... I feel like there was a bit of a, hey, this might be a little creepy warning for Teddy Perkins. I didn't get that warning for this. It was pretty harsh, pretty disturbing scene. I don't know if you can tell right now, but it's just, yeah, it fucked me up, man. It really fucked me up. Did not know that I was gonna see that, but it's what I saw. It's like it's not even real. It's what I saw acted out on TV, but it was pretty graphic. It's pretty graphic. I didn't know what was going on until it was happening. I had no idea. Like, cause, man, there's even a conversation earlier where Van is talking to this woman who says, like, that's saying, like, yo, he's gonna pass away. So, like, we're just here to help people let him go. And she's like, are you sure he's gonna pass away? And she's like, yeah, I know for certain he's gonna pass away. Like, soon. He's gonna leave us soon. And it's like, because they're doing it. It's like, what the fuck? And it's like, yo, that scene, like, had they just prepared me for it, I could have been like, I don't know. I could have took it a little better, but, like, it was a powerful fucking scene. It's just a wild show. It's amazing. There's not another thing like it at all. So I would say be cautious with that episode, but at the same time, it's phenomenal. It just fucked me up because I didn't see it coming, man. Fuck. Maybe it's best you don't. Maybe you guys take it better, but fuck. That fucked me up. So I'm curious, man. They're in this European tour. Curious what's going to happen going forward. I'll let you guys know next week what happened in episode 3 of Atlanta. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, even though that scene was fucked up. We're going to move on to some MMA news. In MMA news, unfortunately, so now, as you guys know, at UFC 272, Colby Covington fought Jorge Masvidal, and your boy was there if you didn't know. Where Colby Covington dominated Jorge Masvidal for 25 minutes straight. And then 2 weeks later, Jorge Masvidal runs up on, literally sneaks up on Colby, and from what witnesses say, punches him like 3 or 4 times in the face, and then just kind of runs off. Well, he punches 3 or 4 times in the face. People come in and grab Jorge to hold him back, and he's like, "That's what you get for talking about my kids." And let's just be frank here, though. The only thing Colby said about Jorge Masvidal's kids was that Jorge does not take care of his kids. He didn't say anything offensive. He just said that you don't take care of your kids. He said your wife Maritza says you never see your kids. You don't talk to them. They don't know you. And Masvidal then felony assault. Jorge has been arrested, charged with felony battery. And I think another fucking charge. Couple charges. He's facing at maximum 15 years for the one felony charge. There's another charge that I think is a potential extra 5 years, if not just fines, which is, I don't know, probably what he'll get. I doubt Jorge is going to go to jail or prison, though he deserves to. This is some illegal shit. You lost 5 straight rounds, got dominated. And it was interesting because I saw the interview with Colby afterwards, and he was like, "Yo, man, this dude was being held up by security guards, and then he starts talking trash." He was like, he couldn't even walk, and yet he's talking trash. He was like, "I just dominated him." But the second, people are holding him back, he starts talking trash. And there's a video of Jorge in the locker room, and Malky Kawa is saying you didn't lose, man. You came to fight and he came to wrestle. That's it, period. People are just yes, men. Just in this man's ear with this nonsense. Then Jorge sneaks up on Colby at a restaurant, attacks him, breaks his tooth, apparently. And then Jorge's manager tweets, taunting Colby about it. Then Jorge posts videos to Instagram bragging about it. Right after he did, he's bragging about it. Even Nate Diaz is how are you going to snitch on yourself? Yeah, Jorge, he's pleading not guilty. But bro, there's video. There's you bragging about it right afterwards. There's your manager confirming it right after. I don't know, man. It's crazy, but Jorge should probably be convicted of some shit like this, you know? He's setting the sport back. He's making the sport look terrible with this shit. I'm seeing idiots. And I'm saying idiots. Idiot takes on Colby. There's either Khabib or whoever's tweeting from Khabib's account saying welterweights should just refuse to fight Colby because he pressed charges against Jorge Masvidal. And it's Jorge Masvidal literally said he wanted to kill Ben Askren's kids. He said he wants to exterminate the Askrens And in that bloodline, we don't need any more of the Askrens around. He said the Askrens. He didn't say I was going to end Ben Askren. And, like, later on, he backtracked. He was like, no, he said that. Like, there's literal video, there's literal audio of him saying, like, I'm going to end the Askrens. He said, I'm going to exterminate the Askrens. And then when they asked him about it, like, after he got the backlash for saying he wanted to kill kids, he fucking was like, oh, I never said that. He said that. What I'm saying was I was going to end Ben Askren. He was like, I would never hurt kids. But it's like, what you said that until people said, hey, man, that's fucked up. You were threatening Ben's kid's life, and he even brought it up like, yo, I had thick enough skin where it was like, yo, I didn't come at you after the fight and attack you. Like, I let it go. He let it go, him threatening to kill his kids. But then Colby says that Jorge is a deadbeat dad. And Khabib, apparently, is calling for fighters to just not fight Colby anymore. That is silly to me. That is silly. This is Khabib, all right? Same guy that jumped out of the octagon and put many non-fighters at risk by just fighting in the audience. He put many people at risk. But yeah, he needs to just stop talking. Like, I think we need Khabib to just stop talking. We haven't heard much from Colby since this whole thing happened, unfortunately. It's a shitty situation, man. Somebody ran up on him, attacked him, because he got his ass beat. You're telling me if Jorge won the fight, he's going to come back 2 weeks later and still attack Colby? No. He lost to Colby. Couldn't let that go. Because you can't tell me one thing that Colby has said about Jorge's kids, and yet that's the one thing people keep repeating. Like, you don't talk about somebody's kids. You don't talk about somebody's kids. And it's like all Colby said was he don't know his kids. He doesn't take care of his kids. He doesn't care about his kids. That's all Colby said. Jorge, what are your kids' names? Is all Colby's saying. He didn't say he wants to exterminate the Masvidals. No, he was hanging out with Jorge's wife and kids. They know him. They all used to live in the same place. Like, they know each other. And he exposed Jorge for being a scumbag. And Jorge could do nothing about it in the octagon. He got beat up in the octagon. Got exposed for being a scumbag. And boom. He does his, it's crazy. He's famous for the 3-piece in a soda. I have that shirt. Bought it right away when it happened, when they went on sale. I believed the hype. He was talking about how a good sucker puncher is respected where he's from. Having a good 40-yard dash is respected where he's from. He's all about that. But unfortunately here, I remember, like, it's like he's famous for that. But Leon chose not to press charges. Leon could have pressed charges there. He chose not to press charges. Jorge would have not been able to fly back home had Leon just done the smart thing there and had that man arrested. He was able to, like, really boost his career. Oh, what happened? Yeah, he was able to really boost his career off of that. But, oh, that's crazy. My camera won't record anymore. I don't know what's going on. It just stopped. There we go. Now it's recording. Yeah, he was able to boost his career off of that. So, I don't know. Jorge's trash. I've been calling him disrespectfully Masvidal for a long time now. And this just proves it, man. Like, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Like, you just signed a contract to be one of the highest paid fighters in the UFC. You fought one fight where you got dominated. Clearly you have that star power, or they're not gonna fucking give you that contract. And immediately, you try to throw your fucking career away. Like, was it really worth it? Jorge will be in court April 21st. We will see what happens then. But he's facing potentially 15 years in prison for assaulting Colby Covington. This is nonsense. When we had UFC Columbus took place, we had there's a lot of good fights on there. Shout out to Alexa Grasso. Shout out to Curtis Blades. But the real main event for me was Kai Kara-France defeating Askar Askarov. That fight was phenomenal. I was really into that fight. I think it could have gone either way. I actually scored the fight for Askar Askarov. I gave him the first and the third round. The judges, I think, gave Kai the second and the third round unanimously. So Kai is now set up to be the number 2 ranked fighter in the division. And he's looking to fight Davison Figueiredo or Brandon Moreno next, whoever wins that fight. And I would like to see it, man. Kai looked great. All right? He looked great in there. I would like to see it. So, shout out to Kai Kara-France. The whole crowd was behind him, and I think that really swayed the judges. But my hat's off to him. He fought his heart off. He really had defense for Askar when Askar was like on his back looking for chokes, and he was able to shake him off of him. He had perfect defense for that. So shout out to Kai Kara-France and an inspiring performance at UFC Columbus. The man Stipe was in the house. We haven't seen Stipe in a year since he got knocked out by Francis Ngannou a year ago. Like literally a year ago today. Yeah, no, exactly a year ago today. It'll be a year ago yesterday when you're getting this episode. But anywho, shout out to Kai Kara-France. Shout out to Alexa Grasso. Shout out to everybody who had a great performance. That was the fight that I wanted to see. All right, and I want to see Kai fight for the title next. We got to get some more gold down there at City Kickboxing. It's not enough gold. You only got Volk and Adesanya. It's not enough gold. All right, let's get some gold for Kai, and let's get you guys to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal accounts at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. You can hit that like button anywhere you are. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit that like button, and I appreciate it so much. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow this podcast at twitch.tv/Babylon5. You guys can cop some merchandise. Go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And then lastly, don't just be my Negroes, be my patrons. Be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. And this has been episode 136, ladies and gentlemen. Cinema. Once again, shout out to Classic. But yeah, I probably shouldn't have started out the episode with Atlanta, because that really fucked me up, but I did it. Now I'm all shook up, but yeah, I'll see you guys. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you. Man, this camera keeps shutting off. Maybe I gotta delete some shit off there. It keeps shutting off, but yeah, Atlanta's crazy. If you guys haven't seen it, go cop. Go watch it. If you're on Hulu, if you got Hulu, go watch Atlanta from the start. If you haven't seen it, everything is phenomenal. I'm excited for this season 3. I think they said they already filmed season 4. So I'm excited for all this. It's the best TV show ever. Let's just put it like that. All right? As I said, I hope you guys will take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican